Unlocking the mysteries. Could the rapture be just around the corner? Join us as we explore the astonishing connection between China's geopolitical shifts, President Xi Jinping's biblical references, and the prophetic visions that may foretell divine intervention. Brace yourself for a journey that links global events to ancient prophecies, promising hope amid uncertainty. Are we on the brink of a profound revelation? Understanding the possible link between the rapture and China's global position involves looking at how China's foreign policy is changing. Recently, Chinese President Xi Jinping made statements calling for increased preparations to deal with national security challenges. This has led to conversations about why China is making these preparations, and if there are changes happening in how China sees itself in the world. Analysts who study international relations have noticed a trend. China seems to be becoming more assertive and ambitious. In simpler terms, this means China is starting to act more confidently and with greater determination in its dealings with other countries. One significant aspect of this shift is China's focus on building up its military strength. The military is like a country's protective force, and by putting more emphasis on it, China is showing that it wants to be strong and capable of handling challenges. So the big question arises, why is China doing all this? The answer is not entirely clear, and that's what experts are trying to figure out. Some think it could be because China wants a bigger role on the global stage. Others suggest it might be in response to perceived threats. Regardless, the key point is that China is changing the way it approaches the world. And this is important to consider when thinking about any potential connections to the idea of the rapture, a belief in some religious traditions about a future event where believers are taken up to meet with a higher power. By looking at China's actions and its evolving foreign policy, we can better understand the broader context in which discussions about the rapture and geopolitical events are happening. China making its military bigger and more modern has worried many people around the world. The People's Liberation Army, PLA, which is like China's army, has been changing a lot. They are getting new and better technology, spending more money on defense, and acting more confidently in arguments with nearby countries. This part of the discussion looks at what these changes in China's military could mean and how they might affect the entire world. One thing that grabs attention is how China is getting more advanced military equipment. Imagine if you have an older phone and suddenly you get the latest model with all the cool features. That's kind of what China is doing with its military, upgrading to be more powerful. This includes things like better weapons, more advanced communication systems, and other high-tech tools. China is also spending more money on its military. Think of it like a big budget for a movie. The more money they have, the more impressive the movie can be. In this case, China is investing a lot in its military, which makes it stronger. This has caught the eyes of people around the world because a strong military can influence how countries interact with each other. Another important point is that China is becoming more assertive. If you're playing a game and suddenly start making bolder moves, that's being assertive. And China is doing something similar on the world stage. They are taking a stronger stance in disagreements with nearby countries. This might make others uneasy because it changes the balance of power in a region. So when we talk about China's military growth, it's like watching a country upgrade its tools, spend more money on defense, and become more confident in dealing with others. This shift could have significant effects not only on China, but also on how countries around the world interact with each other. Some people are talking about a story that links China's way of doing things with what's written in ancient religious texts, like the Bible. They're saying there might be a connection between China's new approach and a part of the Bible called Revelation 16. Let's break it down. In this part of the Bible, there's talk about a big army coming from the east. It's like reading a prediction about a powerful force emerging from that direction. People are looking at China, which is in the east, and saying, hey, is this what the ancient texts were talking about? Another detail mentioned is the Euphrates River, which is also in the Bible. It's like a puzzle. People are trying to match up these ancient writings with what's happening now. So this section is like a detective story where we're exploring these Bible passages and trying to figure out if they have anything to do with what's happening in the world today. Think of it like looking at clues in a mystery book. People are searching for connections between the words in the Bible and what China is doing in terms of its policies and actions on the global stage. It's important to remember that interpreting ancient texts is like solving a puzzle, and different people might see different things. Some say this is just an interesting coincidence, while others believe there might be a deeper meaning. Either way, it's a way of looking at the past to understand what's happening now, even if the connection is not entirely clear. People are talking a lot about something interesting. China's leader, President Xi Jinping, has been mentioning things from the Bible, especially a part called Revelation 16. This has sparked a lot of curiosity and guessing about whether what China is doing matches up with ancient predictions in the Bible. Let's take a closer look at President Xi's speeches and see what the fuss is about. President Xi Jinping has been saying things that sound a bit like what's written in the Bible. In particular, people are looking at Revelation 16, which talks about important events in the future. This has led some to wonder if there's a connection between China's actions and what the Bible talks about. It's like trying to figure out if there's a hidden meaning in the words of the leader of China. So this part of the discussion looks at President Xi's speeches. It's like reading through a big book to find specific chapters where he talks about certain things. People are pointing to moments in his speeches where he uses words and ideas from the Bible. It's a bit like finding pieces of a puzzle and trying to put them together to see the whole picture. Now, here's where it gets interesting. There are different ideas about what these mentions of the Bible mean. Some say it's just a way of expressing ideas, like using a metaphor in a story. Others believe there might be a deeper connection to ancient prophecies. This section dives into these interpretations, exploring what different people think about President Xi's words, and whether they hold a special meaning in the context of biblical predictions. In simple terms, it's like trying to understand if President Xi is intentionally using words from the Bible to send a message, or if it's just a way of expressing things. It adds a layer of mystery and intrigue to the discussions about China's leader and the country's place in the world. Now let's wrap up our story by looking at some special parts of the Bible. Revelation 19, Ezekiel 38, and Isaiah 59. These chapters are like windows into the future, where people find hope during tough times and believe that some higher power will step in to make things right. We're going to explore these passages and see how they fit into the whole tale of China's actions and the rapture. In the Bible, Revelation 19 talks about a moment when things get better, almost like a happy ending in a story. Ezekiel 38 is a bit like a script predicting future events, and Isaiah 59 is another chapter full of hopeful messages during challenging times. People often turn to these parts of the Bible when they want comfort and reassurance, believing that a higher power will step in to help out. Now we're going to connect the dots. How do these ancient writings relate to what's happening in China and the idea of the rapture? It's like trying to see if there's a bigger story being told that includes both the ancient texts and current events. By looking closely at these Bible chapters and considering China's geopolitical developments, we aim to figure out if there's a special meaning behind the connection people are talking about. As we conclude this captivating exploration, the intertwining threads of geopolitics and biblical prophecy leave us pondering the mysteries of the future. Will the rapture unfold next month, as hinted by unexpected alignments? Only time will reveal the unfolding chapters of history. Stay tuned for more revelations as we navigate the delicate balance between contemporary events and age-old prophecies, seeking understanding in this complex tapestry.